Hi, today I'm gonna talk about how independent women artists have challenged the terms of success and gender and beauty norms in today's society, along with the music industry. So, one of my first questions when I started off with this topic is, what does it mean to be successful in not just the music industry but in the entertainment industry? Is it topping the charts, or is it being authentic to yourself and being your own image and your own brand? And that's something I wanted to dive deeply into. And for one of my research questions, I researched, hey, how have independent women artists influenced and destroyed beauty norms along with gender norms as well? And I feel like feel like today's independent artists have done that in many incredible ways. Many artists, especially nowadays, often go for the idea that we need to have an image that's polished, and especially with women, hyper feminized and sometimes very over sexualized to appeal to the masses and mainstream media. However, when independent women artists, they in the last decade or so, they have challenged the expectations of what you would see in society's entertainment field. They have not only embraced authenticity with their music, but they have also expressed self authenticity within how they look and how they dress out on stage whenever they go perform, and their career in general. And one good example of this is an American Indian R&B artist named Ravina. She is an American Indian artist, and her music often reflects on authenticity and spiritualism. Her songs often also challenge Western beauty norms over here and what it truly means to be successful in the music industry. Her music has also delved deep into sexuality and identity, which is super important within today's society and how independent artists are allowed to grow. Another artist that's similar in this field is called Arlo Parks. She's a British songwriter who makes music with lyrics of queerness and self-identity and sexuality. And along with that, her clothing preference for her identity is very minimalistic and very androgynous, which means that it has both masculine and feminine, features. And she's very minimalistic as well. Both of these artists have appeared to have crushed the idea that in order to be successful, you need to fit into a mold or a look in society, which is not true. Another thing I wanted to, go deep into is how social media platforms and the evolvement of it have helped out independent women artists of today. So as you know, back then, in order to become successful in music, you need to have an image, have more specifically a label. A label, something that's gonna help you get your music out on the radio, or give you basic exposure in your music for your albums or whatever. However, with the rise of platforms like Spotify, YouTube, and many more, you don't need a label in order to have a successful career. And that goes the same for many of these independent artists nowadays, because with the usage of Spotify and YouTube, now the artists can now build a special connection with the audience and build a community, which is super important regardless in any music career. And with the development of a community, I feel like now artists can now make their own image and have more autonomy over their career. And that's super important in how many artists, especially women artists, have redefine what it means to be successful in the music industry. And there's many artists, such as Claire's, which posted on YouTube a song named Pretty Girl, and through that, it has gone viral, and she's been able to grow a community that genuinely loves her, not just for her look, not just for how she looks, but something that's authentic to her. And that's super important. Authenticity is very important to have any music career. And while she didn't fit in the exact pop star image that, you know, many people look at to, she stood out not because of her looks, but because of her music and her authenticity. Another artist that is another example of this is named mxmtoons. She's an American Asian songwriter who started on YouTube posting, you know, ukulele type songs, and in each of the songs they're made of they're made of lyrics that talk about queerness, you know, being Asian American, along with, you know, being introverted, which is completely against the mainstream Northern society rules in music. And that's super important on how she built her audience. And for my last question, it kind of goes hand in hand with the social media. It's how have independent women artists redefined and re-evolutionized the way we think what it means to be successful in the music industry? And that's a very that's a very deep question, because in a way they have redefined it in so many ways. Because when we think of being successful in the music industry, we think, oh, our albums are topping the charts. Oh, it's on here, it's on there, it's being heard in the freaking store or whatever. And yeah, that could be part of it. But is it truly just that? Because with newer platforms, now artists can now prioritize their mental health and who they are by making a special connection with their fans. And that's truly what's more important. And that's truly what I feel like really is the most important part of this whole thing. Now when the independent artists, especially women artists, they can now brand themselves in their own way that feels, you know, about them, and be authentic to themselves. Writing music that is about stories about their life or how they feel, or doing anything they want. And that's truly what honestly is more important nowadays. It's honestly like just the overall thing, you know, forging your own pathway and being yourself. And that's truly what's gonna get you down the road, and that's truly what it really means to be successful as a music maker. Artists have more autonomy and control over what they want to do, and they can now prioritize their mental health without dealing with the mainstream norms of pushing out commercial stuff in order to build a fan base. But with independent women artists as well, they've now also, just in general, with artists in general, they have now also, you know, revolutionized what it truly means to be successful. And it's not just topping the charts, it's also building a fan base, building a community, and taking care of yourself in general, which is things that need to be more heard now, need to be more, you know, pushed out in society today. Christina Perri is a really good example of this. She states that in order to be successful, you can't just fit in a mold. You have to be true to yourself and align with your values. And also with another person named Sabrina Tilty-Dumam, I forgot how to say her name, but with her rock alt project, which is called Blonde Shell, which dives into the complex relationships between women and female friendships, it shows that authenticity. She shows that authenticity and vulnerability is the true key factor to being successful, and not just by mainstream appeal. To conclude, I just want to say that while it is cool to like, you know, mainstream artists like, for example, Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter or whoever, I feel like we should all as a society, you know, move to support more independent artists, because with supporting them, we're able to foster more diversity and, you know, inclusion in society. And a society that's very closed-minded, I feel like that's truly important. And I feel like we need to destroy the norms of what mainstream appeal is, especially in the entertainment field. And with that, that is my presentation.